What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host that just ate so much halal guys gyro, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/MaliciousCompliance, and I don't care if you feel like I mispronounced gyro, that's the only way that makes sense for me to pronounce, and if you have a problem with it, then so frickin' be it. You pretentious little monkeys.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.
This story's called, If You Want to Be at Work an Extra 3 Hours. Back in my retail days, I was working at a certain large blue and yellow electronics store selling phones. My department had an unofficial rule. Don't start any new cell phone transactions a half hour before closing. This was for 2 reasons. The support we had for the phone carriers was East Coast time and generally closed an hour before the store closed. 2. I don't know if anybody here has bought a cell phone on a contract, but that can take forever if something goes wrong. My general manager openly hated this rule. He got his bonus off of customer surveys, and anytime a customer left even mildly dissatisfied, he'd have a very mild heart attack. So obviously last-minute customers being told, "Sorry, we can't do that," are generally pretty grumpy. After a year of working there, I ended up as the most senior person in the department, and certainly the one with the most knowledge about its inner functions. I was also, almost always, the closer. On to the malicious compliance. My general manager was badgering me every night for months about helping customers after our usual half-hour cutoff. Normally, I'd just deny him and explain that if he wanted them to be taken care of right then, he could do it himself. He'd back off, he has no idea how to sell a phone, and when he's tried, he's screwed up. This particular night, I saw a large family walking in, beelining toward my department at 8:45. We close at 9. I was in a capricious mood, and decided this would be the night that my general manager would stop bugging me. The family rolls up, I give them the spiel. "Sorry, we can't do any activations after 8:30, blah blah blah." They look sad and start to head back out, and right on cue, my general manager walks up to them, chats for a bit, then starts heading to me for my nightly, "Oh, come on, can't you help them? I know it's late." You know what, general manager? I'll take care of them. You're closing up the doors, right? It might run a little late. "Yep, I'm closing the store tonight." Perfect. I chatted with this particular family the other day. They didn't speak English that well. They were porting in from like 3 different prepaid carriers, and the company they were trying to open an account for is known for being the worst. So I start the transaction. By 9:30 p.m., there's major problems. 2 of the ports aren't going through because I was given the wrong info for the port. Everything's going to crap. I look at my manager, I smile, he smiles back. He doesn't know how bad everything's going. Around 10 p.m., he's checking his watch. He's getting antsy. It's just me, him, and the customers in the store. At 10:30, he asks me how much longer I'm gonna be. I answer, "I don't know," and explain everything that's going wrong. He asks if I can call that company's account support. Ha! They closed 3 hours ago. 11 p.m. rolls around. He's just sitting on a counter across the store, alternating between dicking around on his phone and staring at me. 11:30 rolls by. He looks visibly upset. Keep in mind, this is a man with the same personality as drywall. Seeing any emotion on his face is rare. We hit midnight. I've somehow fixed one of the port errors. Most everything else is still screwed beyond my abilities without calling the carrier. "Hey, yo, P, is this gonna be too much longer? Maybe we should call it a night." Yeah, to be entirely honest, there's nothing I could have done for them as soon as things started going wrong. I've spent the last 2 hours fixing problems I have no business even attempting to fix, and somehow I've made some minute progress. However, I know customer satisfaction is important to you, and I'm willing to stay the 5 more hours I'd need to get this even kind of working for them. "Okay, tell them to come back tomorrow and we'll finish up." By the way, we haven't been able to finalize the purchase for the phones, so they can't take the new ones. And the ports that did work means that their old phones don't work, so you're gonna have to tell them their phones aren't gonna work tonight. Sure wish there was some way we could have avoided starting a process like this with no possibility for support from the carrier. They could have made quick work of this. I forgot to throw in the ending. It's pretty generic, so apologies in advance. The general manager never questioned me about the half-hour rule from that point on, and made a point of coming to me whenever cell phone carrier questions were brought up, which was honestly a long time coming because I trained my department manager, assistant manager, and 9 associates how to do the cell phone stuff before I left. Shortly after that, he'd also stopped trying to help in our section by taking customers there and trying to do our jobs when we weren't looking. I swear I had to kick him out of our section for months before he finally realized he was out of his depth with the cellular crap. Holy crap, I'm sweaty. This has nothing to do with the weather this time, it's actually kinda cold. It's actually just really hot in my closet right now. Anyways, this is a pretty good story. At least the manager learned his lesson. But this is a pretty funny story. I appreciate it. This story's called,
Okay, buddy, we're gonna do exactly what you want.
Sorry, bit of a long one. My friend and I were walking our dogs through a huge off-leash park in our town that's kind of wildernessy with crisscrossing streams and several bridges. We walked to the bridge that leads out of the park, then turned around and head back in. Our dogs were running around playing with each other, and there was a man and woman coming towards us with 2 adult dogs and a puppy. The puppy was on leash, but the woman let him off as they approached us. This puppy loved our 2 dogs and wanted to play, so we stood still for a bit, as did the other 2 people, and then my friend and I started to walk away. The puppy stayed with our dogs, so we kept glancing over our shoulders to make sure we didn't get too far from his person. Clearly, we were the only ones concerned about that though, because the other 2 people just walked away in the opposite direction, without a glance back or a call or anything. My friend and I stopped walking, again to make sure not to increase the distance, but they never looked back. It's really wooded here, so it was tough to see them, but eventually we could see they were standing on the bridge out of the park. So we turned back and walked towards them to bring their dog back. We could see they were standing about a quarter of the way along the bridge talking to some other people. So my friend called out,
Hey, can you call your dog?
Several times, but they ignored her. We ended up walking all the way to the bridge to get their dog back to them, where my friend told them to put it back on leash so it wouldn't follow us. But they still ignored her and kept talking. We gave up and turned around and walked away again. And no surprise, the puppy followed us again. And we got too far away for comfort again, so turned back a second time and called to these people to get their dog. This time the guy yelled at us, "Quit worrying about it and walk your dogs. We'll figure it out." I mean, it should have been clear to them at this point that their puppy was nowhere near them and following us, and that we doubled back twice to try and return it, but he told us off for trying to help, so we just said, "Okay, buddy, you bet," and went back to our walk. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, we might have, say, doubled our original walking pace, but, still doing what we were told. Once we'd gotten out of sight, I guess these stellar pet owners started to worry a bit, because the guy actually started to call the puppy, but that didn't work, and we were still walking. Eventually, we were far enough away and out of sight that the guy started walk running in our direction, still calling the puppy, which was still playing with our dogs and totally ignoring him. And we were still power walking away, just not worrying about it, just like he told us. A couple of extra details. This guy was in no kind of shape, and the ground was covered in fresh snow, so super slippery and hard to run in. So now he's trying to run to catch up, still calling the puppy, and we can hear some pretty labored breathing. Unfortunately for him, my friend and I have now reached the steep uphill portion of the dog park, and we're not slowing down. Puppy is still having a blast with our dogs. Now the guy is shouting various reasons that this is not his fault. Like that it's not his dog and he's just trying to catch it for his friend, or that he didn't hear us before, to which we call back, "Hey!" and keep walking away because we're unclear on how any of that would be relevant, given that he shouted at us to quit worrying and walk our dogs. Now he's almost caught up, but he's wheezing and panting and red in the face and trying to catch a super hyper puppy that's running full tilt around us and having no difficulty dodging him. And we're still walking. But eventually we decided we weren't enjoying having a wheezing, shouting, panting shadow, also some concern that he was about to have a heart attack, so I scooped up the puppy and handed it to him. To be fair to him, he was quite grateful at that point, which is fair since we were only doing exactly what he told us to. Oh yeah, you definitely want to keep a close eye on puppies. Now, I'm no dog expert, but I'm pretty sure are puppies more likely to wander off? I don't know for sure, but I think they would be because they're not as trained or whatever. But they could be like, oh, I'm scared, I'm not gonna wander away, but I don't know for sure. Like I said, I'm no dog expert. Alrighty, my glorious audience, this story is called Woman Calls 911 on a Movie. I'm kinda hyper. In 2013, back when I was working at a movie theater in my town, in like a rich, uppy area, right after Wolf of Wall Street came out, amazing movie, it caused problems. Now, working at a movie theater, you can usually just tell after a while what people know what they want and people who think they know what they want but have no idea what they're getting into. After a lot of refunds for Wolf of Wall Street because of a scene, Leo did an illegal white powder off of an illegal woman's butt, we were told to warn people exactly what they were getting into, because we were getting a crap load of refunds every showing and we were too busy to not keep them waiting a while. So it was my job. So cue our little old lady, we will call Agnes. Agnes was a little old lady who was a short but large woman with a very short pixie cut. She wore activewear leggings, an over-large shirt, and a fanny pack. She waddled over to my ticket booth, fishing money out of her fanny pack. "One ticket to Wolf of Wall Street," Agnes stated before yelling loudly, "Senior?" Yes, Agnes, I can tell you need a senior, and yes, she was not the type for this movie. Okay, but just so you know, it's R-rated, I started, but she groans and rolls her eyes, slapping her hand on the table. "Just do your job and give me a ticket. I'm gonna be late," Agnes stated. Cue my malicious compliance. "One senior coming up." I handed her her ticket as she snatches it out of my hand and waddles off to the theater. I waved goodbye. As if on cue, 30 minutes into her entering the theater, her, like most people who have no idea what they're getting into, walks out of the theater. I was about to call my manager with glee for a refund, happy for my subtle revenge, when I realized she had just come out to make a call. All my hopes and dreams crumbled. Maybe I misread her, but she was for sure not the type to enjoy this movie. I sighed in defeat and went back to waiting for movies to get out. That was until not long after her call, 3 police cars with flashing lights pulled up to the front of my theater. I paused in noticeable confusion as 6 police officers came in with their hands to their side pistols. Since again, I was in the ticket booth, they approached me. "Ma'am, we got a call about some illegal films here," the police officer, we will call Robert, stated. I stated in a loud, long, continuous, my eyes slowly drifting to Agnes, who was waddling quickly up to me. "Arrest her!" Agnes demanded as I continued my continuous, "And arrest them too!" She pointed to the concession workers in a loud, noticeable anger. "For what reason, ma'am?" Robert asked, now seeing how calm and quiet the theater was because the movies were in. "For that disgusting illegal thing of what they're trying to say is a movie," Agnes huffed. She was red in the face and panting. "I demand you shut this place down." "Were you the one that called about the children engaging in adult activities illegally films?" "Can't say it or it won't be approved," Robert asked as we completely went dead silent. "Child what? We had nothing remotely like that here or ever." "Yes," Agnes stated. "That thing in there, that Wolf of Wall Street is illegal. They cannot show that kind of trash in there." "Ma'am, I saw that movie. There's nothing really illegal in it, and there's no children engaging in adult activities illegally films in it either," Robert stated, pretty ticked off. "Is this why you called us?" "Yes, because back in my day, the police would have shut this place down." Agnes was screaming her head off as 2 officers got the hint and just left. "Ma'am, do you know what you did is illegal? It is filing a false police report. 911 is for emergencies only, not your bad movie reviews." Robert had enough of her at this point. "But I didn't file a false police report," Agnes whined as Robert turned to me in a very, very nice tone. "Have a great day, ma'am." He beamed with obvious annoyance. They started to file out, and Agnes angrily followed them, yelling to them. Right when Robert was about to exit the door, Agnes grabbed the push bar for the door and yanked it back to keep the door closed to not let him leave, hitting Robert with the door. Yes, if you're wondering, that does count as assaulting an officer. Last I saw, Agnes was escorted to the police cruiser with shiny new arm bracelets. Though I'm not sure what happened to her, but I never saw Agnes again. I did see Robert though. He got a free movie on me, but it was busy and I couldn't talk to him to see what happened with our dear old friend. But I can tell it was just amazing things. First off, Wolf of Wall Street, that's such a good movie. Incredibly vulgar in many, many ways, but Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie. But wow, calling the police on a movie? What? Oh, how many kinds of stupid do you gotta be to ignore the person's warning? And then I hate when people waste police resources, man, because that's taxpayers that gotta pay for it. Taxpayers.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.